Hello, my name is Brandi Hofer, your host and founder of Color Me Happy, a community podcast and book, all of which I started in my in-home studio whilst in the throes of motherhood. I am an artist, author, educator, and mother to 3 beautiful boys. We live and create together in our in-home studio that is tucked away in the quiet Canadian prairies. Our podcast and community was built to empower and inspire. We chat about everything from motherhood, the art world, business, and health in the most honest and authentic way. It's totally unedited and unfiltered. If you love what we do here, become a part of our free community, Color Me Happy. We have grown the community to support our members with features and interviews. Our link is in the notes. Thank you for being here. I sure do appreciate your time. Welcome to Color Me Happy podcast. My name is Brandi Hofer, your host. Thank you so much for being here. I sure do appreciate your time. It's a beautiful winter day, except it doesn't feel like winter at all. There's no snow, and it's only -4. Super weird. It's usually like -20 at this time, degrees Celsius for us Canadians. I'm not sure what that is in Fahrenheit. Anyway, I am going to read you today a little passage from my book, Color Me Happy, See Your Everyday Ordinary as Extraordinary, for some motivation. And I'm reading it because today's guest actually was part of one of my seasons of life, 4 years of my life. And she came on and she did a tell-all and revealing, I think, really important events in her life, which I feel like a lot of women have gone through or are going through or maybe have yet to go through. And it's a season that will definitely strengthen you. But I wanted to read you my books. My books chapters are really short, so don't worry. I'm not going to read you the second chapter of which I talk about Maria and the restaurant. But I'm going to read you the lead-up chapter, and then you'll have to get my book. And it's an awesome book. People are reading it for the second time. It's like a tiny cult classic book. For people who get their hands on it, really, really love it. So it's just like one of those things that's slowly catching on, and I'm patiently waiting. So I'll say it again. The hardest part is getting dressed. Whether you're working from home, working out, meeting a client, getting your work boots on, or putting on your uniform, the hardest part is always getting dressed. At least these days, if we're working from home, we have the option of keeping our comfy pants on, am I right? I loved all those videos of newscasters getting up with their undies in the middle of the live broadcast. Gotta celebrate those little perks and great blooper videos. Getting dressed is always the biggest struggle. Just move past it as quickly as you can, rip off the Band-Aid, dive into the icy cold water. You'll adjust in a minute, I promise. Once you're in the middle of whatever you're inclined to groan about, it's really not so bad. In fact, when it comes to working out, I always put on my clothes first thing in the morning so I can cross that off right away. And as soon as I'm moving my body, I start to have fun. My mood instantly lifts and I begin to enjoy myself, and this gray cloud floats away from over my head, the sun breaking through the clouds of my day. Looking good, feeling good. I always say to my sons when they throw on their clothes, and 9 times out of 10, I get a big smile from them and I can see a brave little pep in their step. Put on your best of the best and go for it. Say it in the mirror. Looking good, feeling good. You will be ready to take on anything. And the next chapter follows with, don't just get dressed. Put your costume on and play the part. And I'll talk about that a little bit without reading the whole chapter. But I started at Spiro's restaurant, and I had just freshly gotten out of university, and I was kind of a shit. The reason was I was really angry. I had this art degree, my BFA, and I just assumed, because I went to school right out of high school, so really young, kind of naive, very naive actually, admittedly, honestly. And I was ticked that I didn't go straight into the art world, into success. Having a degree instantly makes you know about the world, and it really didn't. I would never regret going, but I was very to go back to hospitality after, because I did hospitality throughout, and then to go back once I had a degree, I was kind of ticked off and disappointed in myself. And so for the first year and a half, I was like not into it. Like, and so if you're not into your job as a server, first of all, your employers get like kind of annoyed at you. And, you know, I was like showing up just on time and leaving like as soon as I could. And so you're not really, anyone who knows who's been in the hospitality industry, like you got to be the closer, you got to be the people person, you got to look good, you got to smile, you got to interact with people. That's how it works. It's people pleasing. I learned so much from that industry that I still use today. And yeah, so then like I really just like took note of the older women around me who were staying the latest, showing up half an hour early, and like they were killing it. They were making massive amounts of money. And I'm talking like I made a lot of money in that job, like a lot. I remember at one point, and because I'm trying to like overcome money stuff, I like to share about it. At one point, I had a shoebox full of $10,000, and that's how I made my down payment on like my first home. And so it's just like it was a good industry to be in. And yes, I claim my tips. So for anyone who's listening, also, yeah, don't come after me, but I claim them because I like to be as perfectly honest as possible all the time. So what I did to step into that role is I played a part. Even if I wasn't feeling good at the time, even if I didn't feel like going to work, which was most times because, you know, split shifts in the hospitality industry, like at 4:00, kind of the last thing you want to do is go and practice full energy again when you've already lived out your day. But like once I got there, I was fine. It's like you just perk up and you get moving and you're walking and you're talking to people and you're smiling. And if you make it like a game, you know, like how much can I upsell? How would these people like appetizers? How can I get a refill on your drinks? Like the more you sell, the more you make. And the more you interact with people, the more fun you have. And so I got dressed and played the part. I put on fancy earrings. I put on scarves. I like did anything I could to dress up my uniform and stand out. And I was the best server. Like I cleaned and I put everything away. Like I did my absolute best. If I was in this role, I was going to be the best at it while I was there. And it was like a building block and the foundation of who I am today, because I strived and I thrived to be a better person in a role, which then, of course, like a stepping stone, built my first house. We sold that house. We made money. I learned a lot of people skills. Especially like speaking skills, very important, memorization, tons of takeaways. And yeah, you know, get dressed, play the part. I also have another great book I love, and I always recommend it on the podcast, The Science of Getting Rich, Attracting Financial Success Through Creative Thought by Wallace D. Wattles, which Jen Sincero actually recommended in her book. And he always says, like, focus on your goal, your bigger goal and the life you want to live, because when you're in a position that you want to grow out of, there's like stay there if you have to, but always focus on the life that you want to be living while you're still there. Of course, being present and active in the moment. So being the best at the job you're in. And then if you can't excel through that job, if there's no going up for you, if you don't want to be there anymore, you focus on where you're going to be and how those steps are going to take you there. I love this episode because it is supporting a lot of women who find themselves in situations that, you know, they not feel like they can't step out of. So I'm really excited for you to hear this. Make sure you keep sharing in our free Color Me Happy community. I'd love to see you there. And make sure you pick up our book for yourself, for your mom, for your friend. It's a great gift for the holidays. It'll come to you on Amazon Prime. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. And have a great day. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you to our partners in this podcast, BioClean Disaster Services, Nouveau Laser and Aesthetic Center, Red Bicycle Communications, and Oasis Hot Yoga and Spin Studio. Make sure you hit them up for a nice warm up and a mind rest, especially during this busy holiday season. All right, keep it real. Have a great weekend. This is great. Welcome to my in-home recording studio /
Thank you.
kitchen table.
This is lovely. It's perfect.
It looks good. This is Maria.
Hello.
Hello, welcome. So, I'm just making sure this is totally unfiltered and just we're recording. So that's so great. So we know each other from a long time ago.
Lots of years.
You want to talk about it? I talked about it in my book. Did you read it? Have you gotten to that?
I'm taking it baby steps.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's pretty intense.
Yes.
Yeah. My cousin was like, I'm on page 11 and I'm bawling and I don't want to do this anymore. No, she's like, she finished it. It was good.
I have a hard time getting into books. It's not that your book is hard to get into, but it's just like I lay down. I have to find the right spot in my world to sit and read a book. I admire people that can sit up and read a book because I'm always looking at the next spot in my house going, oh, that looks comfortable. And then I'm asleep.
Oh, you're
And the
one of
book
those.
is-
Yeah. I read to fall asleep, too.
Yeah.
But so what I do for self-help or inspiring books, I read them during the day or on holiday or anything. And then if I want to really consume a book fast, I pop in an audiobook while I drive. And that's how I do books.
Well, that's probably what I should do for
You
books.
should do for yeah.
I've read the epilogue of many books many times. I'm going to
No.
try this again.
That's how you because we're both busybodies, so
Very much.
that's
And I get home from work and I think, okay, I'm going to read this book. I've got 2 books on my bedside table. One was just given to me. And well, I'll tell you a little quick story about me. Somebody gave me Where the Crawdads Sing.
Oh, nice.
It's an easy read. It's a great book, and it's sitting on my bedside table. And I was like, I'm going to read this book. So I tried, and I tried, and I tried. I probably got page 4, and I fell asleep every time. Good night, good night, good night. So anyway, last summer I went to Greece, and I had my book packed. I'm going to read this book. I'm taking it with me. And then as I'm walking out the door, I'm like, who are you kidding, Maria? You're not going to read this book. You're not reading the book. So, and there's 4 girlfriends in our group, and each of us got the book because we're going to have a book club.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. That's what I did too.
Yeah.
I was like, whoa.
Sure.
So anyway, I get to Edmonton. No book. Sans book. I didn't take the book with me because I'm like, who are you kidding? You are not reading this book. Airplanes are like brown noise for me, so I get on the airplane and I'm like, oh, it's just so nice in here, and then I'm asleep. Wait, we're in the air? I missed that takeoff again. Every time. I just fall asleep.
It does. The takeoff is really...
I have nanny boy. I'm just like, I need nanny.
Doesn't happen
naps.
for me anymore.
Oh, well, you have
Kids.
children. Yeah.
Yeah.
But so anyway, in the Edmonton airport, I'm instantly regretting not having brought my book. And I'm like mad at myself, so I'm thinking, I'm going to go buy that book. So I go to the bookstore. There it is there. It's the bestseller. I'm buying Where the Crawdads Sing. I haul this thing all the way to Greece. I haul through Amsterdam. I don't even crack. The receipt is stuck.
It'll be a great gift for someone.
So I don't even know where the book is now.
Oh.
So I get to Greece and I'm in my
You left it there?
Airbnb. Yeah. And guess what was on TV? Where the Crawdads Sing.
Easier.
Much
Way
easier.
Actually, that audio for that book, I listened to, and she does the voices of each character, and it's really, it's one of the best audiobooks I've listened to.
Okay, so
yeah,
I
the
need to
narrator
clearly-
is good.
Yes.
It's the movie was okay. The book is always better, and it was really good. Do the audiobook. Just consume it while you're driving to anywhere. To Edmonton. Yeah, I think I was going to New York, and I drove to Calgary to fly from there. So that's like, how far is that? Like 4.5, 5 hours? Well, in Carly's car it was 4.5.
4.5. Carly's not listening.
Highway 2. I was going with the flow of traffic.
That's right. You got to keep up with the flow. So if you get there in 4.5 hours, that's on them.
Yeah. So
that's
I just
on the flow.
and I finished it in that whole travel for that trip, and it was so good, and it was so relaxing, and it's the best way to travel. Anyway,
I will say at the end of that book, I was just like, or at the end of that movie, I was like,
no, even they go into more detail with. Oh, I love her. I was like, yes.
Well,
anyway, we won't ruin the book.
No.
This is the book club that we are hosting at Color Me Happy. We're reviewing the Crawdads Sing. I love, actually, speaking of, I love what Reese Witherspoon has done with like books and movies, and like similarly, probably like for women in her industry. And you're here because we're both proactive in our community. You've been very proactive a lot longer. I don't want to make you, I'm not saying you're old or anything. You've just been a business person in our community for a long time. And I met you and I remember the day I walked in with my like resume, and this is what I talked about in my book. The day I walked into your business, so Spiro's, your family-owned Greek restaurant, I had like this really not fancy, it was like paper resume still, like you don't email anyone. It was paper resume, but I had like put borders on it, and you were like, this is the most beautiful resume I've ever seen. And you hired me on the spot because the day before my mom's like, get out of here, you need a job. Like,
as moms do.
Yeah, and she's like, tomorrow you're going to, like, Spiro's just built a new restaurant. It was right when you had,
You're gonna get a job.
I walked into your restaurant and got a job. Of course. Like, that was hard.
Like, you'll do.
Yeah, you'll do. You have legs.
Yeah.
At that point in our economy, you have legs, a heartbeat. You can speak sentences, kind of.
Ish.
You're in.
Let's go.
And I was kind of a shit for a couple of years, but I feel like I learned a lot. I learned a lot in hospitality, and
I learned a lot from you.
I don't think so.
I did. I really did learn a lot from you. Yeah. It was because you brought a lot of creativity to our just world of Groundhog Day every day. You did bring a lot of creativity.
Right. We actually we hosted wine night art evenings. I appreciate that, by the way.
Yeah, we had wine and cheese evenings, and I remember just being so wound up about how are we gonna do this, and you were like, it's easy, but this is Brandi last minute, you know.
It got easier when we sampled the wine for the wine tasting night.
I do remember there was a few of our wine tasting evenings, we didn't even know what we had for wine. It was like, yeah, that's good.
Yeah, we're like,
what did you bring
which
for
one
wine?
were we drinking anyway, actually?
Yeah. And I would just go to Edmonton and I would just be like, I'll take that one. I liked the artwork on the labels. And I also had this price point. I was just like, yeah, that's good. I didn't know what I was bringing in.
Yeah, I don't think people cared either.
No.
To be fair.
Now people
they
are
were
like,
fun. Yeah.
What is that?
No, they were just there for the food and the people.
Pretty sure it was. Oh, those were fun. Yeah.
They were fun. They were packed.
And I saw Dawn Flowen the other day because she's got her own page and stuff, and I was like,
it's a local artist, Dawn Flowen.
Yeah, and I remember when I had her and she was sitting. Your artwork was there. Dawn was there with her necklaces and jewelry, and I just thought, my goodness, that was the start of these experiences in Lloydminster. Really?
Yeah.
We were the start of it. We were.
Yeah, it was a long time ago. Like, sharing creativity and supporting creatives.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
Supporting creatives.
So that's why I say you brought a lot of that into
some flair. I was, for the first couple years though, I was still so green. Like, I was young. Really green.
We were all young though, I think.
Your restaurant was new.
Our restaurant was young. I was young in the industry, but I didn't have a backbone. I mean,
You do. You know what you want now.
I know what I want now. I would cave a lot because I don't like confrontation. I'm always just like,
ditto.
Oh, you're mad at me.
I feel like, so how old were you then? Like, would you have been?
Well, 17 years ago. So I would have been 33, 34, yeah.
I feel like that's
young.
And my auntie Anna, I don't know if you remember her, but she's from Red Deer, and she's just like, once you get to a point in your 30s as a woman, you like, that is when you get your backbone and you stop like putting up with people's shit.
35
had so much shit
switch.
thrown at you
that you're like, is the switch.
I'm not going to take this anymore.
Yeah, but
and in fact, I'm not even going to let it begin.
Yeah.
You know?
I think in my 30s, as I recall, it sort of started. There was like the ignite, like I was pushing what is that called in the fireplaces? Yeah,
that's ignite.
Yeah, I was pushing that little primer switch. It was being primed.
Oh, primed. I see.
By the time I hit 40, I was sort of ready. I hit 40 and I had some changes in my life.
Fuck you guys.
Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that's kind of what it was. I turned 40 and I felt like there was some spark.
Yeah.
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 But in my
30s, not only spark, like action.
Action.
Yeah,
35s, 36, there was some spark. In my 40s, it was like, all right, let's go. And it just was natural because there's some things that I went through and it was like, I had to make that first move.
And by that time, your kids are kind of like doing their own thing.
Yeah.
They're doing their own thing. So you're like, I'm going to take care of me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. How did that feel?
Scary. But yeah, it was pretty scary. I will tell you, it was like, you have to make that decision because like in my world, I had to make the decision, do I want to stay in this marriage? And I remember having told myself that when my kids were older, when they were done school, I was going to leave. So I don't even remember how old I was when I said that, but probably in my late 30s. As soon as the kids are done school, I'm leaving. And then the kids were done school, and it was just like I had this, I don't want to say a shut-off switch. I keep with these switches. But I want to say that there was something that I just sort of powered down in my marriage. Like it was like I had sort of started my exit mentally. Mm-hmm. And it was a very strange feeling because I remember looking at, we had just built this beautiful house, and I remember kind of looking at this house thinking, I'm not sure why we built this house. This was maybe poorly thought out. But shortly after that, things just sort of started to decline, and then it was, the writing was on the wall earlier on, and it was just time for me to leave. Mm-hmm. It's just time. And it wasn't a hard decision, actually. Some things went down, and he was, I think we touched a bit about it on the at the women's conference, and he was really pretty deep in alcoholism. And I just remember thinking that, he had done some time at the Thorpe, a 6-week program at the Thorpe, and he came out and it was looking, pretty good. And then he just sort of started up again, and I thought to myself, well, you know what, I can't want this more than you. So
no.
I guess, this is the way you want to go. I can't go down that road with you. I think we're maybe done. And I did feel a little sad for 25 years of marriage.
For sure.
25 years of marriage.
It's a lot of time.
Yeah.
And energy.
It's a lot of energy. It's a lot of time. And, I really believed in the guy for a lot of years. And then it was just time to sort of move on. Scary. Eleni had just had her first, she was just going to be having Mila this is really ill-timed. I remember sitting her down, and Zoe, and Eleni's, 9 months plus 4 days, and she's going to be induced the next day. And we tell her that our marriage is ending as of now, and she's like, "Oh, great, good talk. I'm having a baby tomorrow." So there is never a good time, by the way.
But I feel like, no, there's never a good time, but I feel like, and a lot of times your kids probably know.
Yeah, I think their comment was, "Well, we can't tell you, we didn't see this coming." So I felt sort of a relief that we weren't breaking this family up, like, "Oh no, mommy, daddy."
No, they're grown. They're grown women.
They were living their own lives.
Like, I remember I was 12 when my parents separated, and my sister was like 10, and we were distraught.
Yeah,
but that's like.
That's 12 and 10.
That's 12 and 10.
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Married,
but
with almost
my
a baby.
brother, who was 16, he's like, "Duh, everyone."
Yeah,
like Dad's been living. He said to me, "Dad's been living in the basement for 7 years." Like, they're not. There's no like, you know. But you don't know because it's just what is happening all around you. Right?
Well, I think with our situation, it was like they had seen the writing on the wall, and they had seen the hurt and the unkindness and the alcoholism, and they knew that it was, go ahead and do what you need to do, and I went and lived with Eleni. They had their baby, and they invited me to go live with them. But I do remember sitting on the edge of my new bed in my new bedroom, and it was like I'd gone from this beautiful home. Brand new, beautiful home, into the house that I had brought Eleni home from the hospital to, into the bedroom in the basement that at that point had a Maytag cardboard in the window. Like, it didn't have drapes. I had Maytag, so I was like, what have I done? I remember looking around just going, what have I done? I also left without anything too. Like, I was going to Superstore every day and buying myself an outfit because
oh wow.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
Left with nothing. And I don't really know what my thought process was. I think I had a little duffel bag with some toiletries and stuff like that. I was couch surfing for a while. If people needed their animals looked after, I was dog sitting, and but by then I had developed a nice little Joe Fresh wardrobe. So I did have a duffel bag, but I did leave with nothing, and I don't know why. To this day I don't know why. But we put the house for sale. The house did sell, and I did take all of the clothes. I had a beautiful walk-in closet. I took all of the clothes and I gave them away. I didn't keep anything.
Interesting.
It was very strange for me. It's
getting rid of that person.
Yeah,
maybe.
I do believe that's what it was. I think to this day of things that I had, like I was like, oh, I had an outfit that looked a lot like that. No, I got rid of it, and it was like,
I'm not her anymore.
I'm not her anymore, and I did leave. I did walk away from everything and with nothing. It was very strange for me. I look at pictures.
Strange, but it
makes sense.
It makes sense.
But at the time, I hadn't even given thought to those clothes.
This is foresight.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then, it's only been in the last couple of years where I've thought about what I left and how I left. And it was just like I walked out that day and I never went back.
You just had to.
Yeah. I had a place to go. I went to
and
Superstore after
your daughter
work.
Needed you.
She needed me.
It was a season of her life where she needed your support.
And, Fane was assuming I was coming back.
Mm-hmm.
And I was not coming back, and I did tell him I'm not coming back, and
do you think he believed you?
No, not for the little. No, there was some hints and cues that he would, because we still work together. So
oh my gosh,
it was pretty. Was pretty toxic. There was a couple of times where we would get into it. We had this really huge fight at lunchtime, actually.
Oh, and I know what lunch is like. It's like
so we had this
45 minutes of pure terror.
Yeah, and so here we were. He was cooking, and I was in the front. I don't know. We were both cooking, I think. And we got into it. Oh my God! My mom was on the other side, and I think
It's like a real cooking show.
It was, and I think and we were
You didn't
both
have to
telling
stage
each other,
anything.
I was like, fuck you, and he was like, fuck you. My mom's like, hey, stop. And I think at that
Does your
point,
mom remember what she was like in the kitchen?
Oh my goodness. But you know, I think
I
remember
do.
at that point it was just like,
I love her
we're
cooking
done.
show. She's so sweet. And I was like, but that's not what she was like in the kitchen.
I'm Tina.
I'm Tina. Would you like to cook with me? Let me just.
Oh,
and I'm like,
she's very passionate.
I wish we could do a before and after
Oh,
of the like, or like real life before the cooking
my
show.
Goodness.
It is like those
harsh.
cooking shows. Like it's just so high and so intense.
Well, and then you end the evening of wherever you are, you know, and you're like, right now we'll have those evenings at the restaurant, and then we're all sitting together having dinner.
Yeah.
Everybody comes.
You're like, that was another one.
Yeah, well, that was one for the books. And I mean, there's like 15 minutes where you have to get over your like, I really hate you. Then it's like, hey, can you pass the soy sauce, please?
Yeah.
We're pals again.
So
That's a healthy
after
thing.
that big one in the kitchen, is that when, like, when did
That's
he?
when we realized
Oh,
we were done.
I'm in editing. Okay, so at that point in the kitchen, did you realize like that you needed to like stop working together? Like you needed?
No, I think at that point it was like we had to sort of call it, have a time of, you know, let's just call this. Let's just be done. You know, we knew it was over, but now there was no going back. I knew there was no going back, and I just needed to continue on with, now we've got to divide up, you know, house assets, get rid of this house. It was like the next thing and then the next thing and the next thing, plus we were working together. So there was a lot of stuff with that, and, you know, he was part of the business, and you know, that was a little bit scary because you know, and in my mind I was like, well, you know, I'm just going to give him everything, because that's where, you know, and I don't want to say I was stupid Maria, but, you know, I was like, I don't like confrontation. I was the one that sort of, you know, pressed the ignite switch on this marriage, so maybe I should just give him everything. You know, and I had people sort of in my life at the time saying, you know, don't be silly. Like, are you kidding me? Like, no. And so, you know, alcoholism is a really, really, really horrific disease. It's awful.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't want to take advantage of the situation, because I didn't want to get into it when he was down and out. I didn't want to be like, hey, you know, do you want to sell your soul for a bowl of soup here, kind of thing. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to make sure that anything that we decided on was decided in a fair market, but fair time too, right? You know, let's just sit down and have a conversation. So there was one day, it was just, you know, after lunch, and I just said, let's just go and have a conversation. Now he was pretty much hating me at that point, and because he knew we weren't getting back together, and I just said we have to figure out what we're doing here. And so I had gotten some numbers from accountants and lawyers, and I just sat down with them and I just said, this is what the restaurant is, you know, worth. This is what we have out in shareholders loans. This is what this is, and this is what that is. Just threw some numbers out, and on a dinner napkin we just divided up everything and came up with a number of what I would pay him monthly, and for how long.
Mm-hmm.
And I just said, are you good with this? And he said, I'm fine with it. And I said, okay. I went to the lawyer, and we set up the meeting, and I mean, by now we were legally separated. The divorce was in the makings, and you know, I was able to buy him out, and paid him over the course of the year. So that made him feel better about his next step of leaving Lloydminster.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, interestingly enough, he left Lloydminster on our 25th anniversary. But I want to back up. I want to tell you something. A lot of my motivation for leaving him at the point that I left him, Brandi, was because I was really worried that he was going to have a 25th anniversary party And I would marry you all over again and have all of our closest friends, and me sort of with maybe not so much backbone at the time, going, okay,
Yeah. Publicly.
guess.
Yeah.
It's like a public engagement. When people get engaged publicly.
Yeah.
What am I supposed to say? So I just felt like I have to call this today. And he left Lloyd on our 25th anniversary. And yeah, it was pretty tough. And, sadly for the next, I'd say 3 or 4 years after, or, in the next 3 or 4 years of him living in Calgary, he really, really, really drank a lot, and he did pass away 2 years ago, or it will be 3 years in June. He passed away from alcoholism. It was sad. It was really sad. And again, when I found out that he had passed, I mean, it was tough. Like I got the news. It was about 10 o'clock that night. I got the news, and boy, it really messed with my head a little bit for a couple of days, and it was just like, well, I did this. This is my fault because I did this. And I've got 2 strong women that have flanked me. They're my children, they're my daughters, but they're women. And just having them beside me was one of my proudest moments, or one of my best moments in my life, was just knowing that they were beside me, and they were holding on to my hands and just saying, no, Mom, you wouldn't be the woman you are today had you not gone through what you went through. And I really think that when I talk about my my 40s and now into my 50s, it was like I really am the woman I am today because of some of the things I went through. And there was a lot of layers to my getting to today. Lots of layers, lots of peelbacks, lots of put your toe in this pond. And I was a scared 35-year-old when I met you, and just some things that even, we went through is just like, I got some courage and I got some power, and, leaving my husband at, 44, 45, whatever that was, and just propelling myself forward just because, number one, I had to. I mean, you can't sit separated for years. I know some people do it.
You can.
My
parents were separated.
Some people do it.
Divorce is expensive. No, they had no reason to get divorced. No one's going to get remarried. No one's going to, so what was the point?
And your parents...
They worked something out on a piece of yellow notepad.
Yeah.
There it was. They both signed it.
But they
I remember seeing
each other too, though. Like
they did. They were both good people.
Yeah.
They were just...
Yeah, they cared for each other.
Another podcast. A long one.
I think it's wonderful. Like
with things that I still don't understand to this day. And I can't because Mom's not here to... Nor would she tell me. I don't know if she would.
She may not.
No. I don't know if she would tell me.
I will tell you though, when a marriage breaks down, there's some pretty deep. I can take some pretty
big guesses. Goals. I remember her face and her crying and yeah, Dad living in different places and hearing different stories and I think I get it.
Was like around now, she might be okay to talk about it. I don't know. It's like I have in the past brought up a few things to my kids. Just saying,
there's a point where I think you could feel where you're no longer protecting your children, that they're strong enough to take it.
You can handle this.
Wasn't there while she was still alive.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree with that.
But I'm the strong woman I am today because she's not here.
Yeah.
You
are.
Very different person.
Much. Yeah, I would agree.
Since
you turned the corner after your mom passed.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because you had to.
Had to. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You have to.
Yeah.
It's funny. You find strength in these situations and you can get through it and you do become...
And then you kind of look back and you say, yeah, that was hard. Or that really sucked. But I don't ever want to or wish any of that on anybody.
No.
Oh, God.
But life, at some point, everyone's going to have these times and these moments.
Yeah.
Right?
And then, I bought a house for myself. Like, I remember thinking, oh, I'm going to live in an apartment forever. Or I'm going to be living on people's couches forever. Like, how's that sustainable? Do you have a dog that you want me to watch?
Doesn't feel good.
I'll watch your dog for, 10 days or whatever it was. I literally was house sitting for people for like 10 days at a time. And it was awesome, but I was like, this isn't sustainable. And, once our house sold and I was able to start looking for a place, I found a great little place. It's a little condo by the restaurant. And, I remember every morning I'd go to the top of my stairs and I would just look down into the living room and the kitchen. I was just like, oh my God, it was just breathtaking for me because it was like a sense of accomplishment and wow, look what I've done and look what I've accomplished and it was just like I was so proud of myself. I just thought
I remember seeing you on your walks with your new dog.
Yeah.
And you're
just feeling like I got the world by the tail right now. And I'd gone through some really freedom. Bad shit.
Yeah.
And I felt liberation. I felt just freedom. And I thought, my God, this is amazing. And, I'd get into my vehicle. It was like, this is mine. This is mine. And I know that that's not what it's about. But after you've come out of a world that was just, you felt so squishy in this world of what everybody had expectations of you, like you can't leave. I remember my mom was mad. Like she was a little mad at me when I said I was leaving him. Can't you make it work out? I was like, huh?
Really?
What?
Really?
And that and I love my mom dearly, but my mom was more worried about what church people would think about my leaving. And I did talk to, after we had a shower for Mila, and I did talk to somebody from the church, and I just said, hey, I just want you to know this is what's happening, just because you're going to hear it, and I'd like it to come from me. And she said to me, and I admire her to this day, she just said, Maria, if anybody has tried, it's you. And basically she just said, go live the rest of your life. You've lived the first half of your life, with this under your...
The rest will be a holiday.
Go and have fun with the rest of your life. I took that and I thought, yeah, that was nice to hear.
I remember talking to my grandma after my grandpa died. And, like, they're older. Like, she just turned 90. And she's just like... I don't know what to watch on TV because he picked all the shows.
Exactly.
And I'm like, you get to watch whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah. It's true, though.
Enjoy it.
Yeah.
You get to watch whatever you want.
Yeah, and I think that's what it was for me. It was like, oh, this is my house. This is my, I'm not worried about, I was always worried about the next shoe dropping with Fane. It was just like, I could never...
Scary.
I was scary. I could never trust him. I could never,
Do you think that's like living in constant fight or flight almost?
Totally.
Like...
Oh, 100%. 100%. I remember I had a Volvo, and he took it to the city to get a service done on it, and I believe he drank all the way up there and all the way back. And, I came home from work that night at about 11 o'clock, and I walked in. First of all, I opened the garage door to see my Volvo smashed into the end of the garage. And I thought, well, that's not normal. And then I kind of looked at it, and I thought, that's so weird. And then I went up the stairs, and there was cans, and I was, oh my God, I don't even know who I was that night. I honestly don't even know who I was. I went into our bedroom and I pulled the covers back and I grabbed him from the scruff of he was wearing a shirt, and I grabbed him and I picked him up and I turned him around and I kept pushing him, and I threw him. Well, I'm probably going to go to jail now. I pushed him down the stairs. I did. I was screaming. I was hoarse the next day. I was so mad. I screamed and I screamed and I screamed and I screamed. And then, and he was just like stunned. Just picture a man that's drunk, first of all, and then this woman, lunatic.
Who's half his size.
Oh, yeah, who's half his size. And also the devil at that point. And I pushed him down the stairs. I'm screaming at him. And then I got into, now I was in Al-Anon at the time, so I had some really good friends. And I think Al-Anon people aren't supposed to throw their loved ones down the stairs. Like, I think that's not in the book.
No.
But anyway, so I would have failed Al-Anon that day. Anyway, so I pushed him down the stairs and I was screaming at him. And then I left. I grabbed my keys and I left, and I sat in the parking lot at Tim Hortons by Sport Check. And I sat there, it was about 2 a.m, and I just sat there. It was snowing, it was beautiful. And I just sat there and I was thinking to myself, I don't know if I should even be out here with this vehicle. What if he killed somebody? What if they're looking for this vehicle? And so I looked at Sport Check and I thought, I'm going to buy a bat. I'm going to buy an aluminum bat when they open in the morning. This is where my head was. And I'm going to either beat the hell out of him or I'm going to beat the hell out of his vehicle. I'm not sure just yet. But I'm going to wait for that store to open. And like, I had literally checked out.
But this is not just like one instance. This is like...
No, but this was at the end of
the end of everything and the end of so many...
Yeah, this was... And actually, consequently, this is what put him into rehab.
Your tipping point.
This is what put him into rehab.
Mm.
But, so I remember sitting... Now, was I... No, he had already come out of rehab because I had my Al-Anon friends. So I'm sitting in the parking lot at Sport Check, and my friend from Al-Anon pulls up. He was just grabbing a tea or whatever at 2 a.m, and he pulls up beside me. Hey, buddy, what are you doing? It's like, I'm waiting for Sport Check to open. What's going on? Well, I'm just going to buy a bat. What are you doing with the bat? Well, I'm not sure just yet. I'm either going to beat the hell out of Fane, or I'm going to beat the hell out of his truck. I'm not just sure yet. I don't think that's a very good idea. And I was like, well, I think it is. At this point, I think it is. And so I was just so deflated at that point because, we'd spent $17,500 on the Thorpe.
Mm-hmm.
And 3 months later, he was drinking again.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that is purely on the alcoholic. That is not on the services provided.
I mean, but like to think about the realism of coming out of a program and having it be successful is like you had a lifelong habit.
Yes.
Right?
And 6
That's
weeks
like,
isn't going to cut it.
Brandi, never chew your nails again.
Yes.
It's unlikely.
Unlikely. Very true.
When it's that habitual.
And and it was, maybe my expectations were high. I think they were high. I just thought, we've paid all this money.
Yeah.
I should get a new husband. And I didn't. And so I was pretty mad, and he did, I don't remember why I would have been to the family program already, but I don't know. Maybe I was going to the Thorpe already, or maybe I was going to Al-Anon already. And then he went into program, but he did go into program the next day. I'm sure of it because he knew I was that mad. I don't think I'd ever been that bad before in my life. And I mean, and like an alcoholic will say, well, I did take your car to Civic or whatever it was, auto body, and like, you shouldn't be mad. I'm getting it fixed. And I was like, you could have killed somebody. I don't. How do we know that you didn't kill anybody? How do we know that? How do we know that there's not another vehicle out there that you hit? Like, you don't even know what you hit. No, we're not good. We're not good. And so I just had so many nights of like, just such a turnaround world for me. And, you know, a lot of shit went down. Lots of shit went down. And when I moved into my house alone, he lived in Calgary, you know, the furniture, I did take all of the furniture because he had no place to take it. So I kept everything at my house. But, you know, they brought a couch in, and, you know, as you're twisting the couch to bring it in, and it turns upside down, a set of keys fell out. And I looked at the keys and I thought, oh, I remember this, because, you know, he was always leaving me. Fane was always leaving me. Or he was throwing keys to the restaurant at me. You can have the restaurant, you know. So this was a, you know, I'm leaving you and I'm taking, here's your damn keys, you know. And I mean, it got to the point where, you know, on one of the nights that he was leaving me, he grabbed his passport, his watch, and his best shirt, and he was drunk. And it, you know, I look back at these nights and I just thought, like, you know, he grabbed his keys, and I said, if you do leave with your keys, I will call the police. And so he just threw the keys and he walked to Eleni's house that night, which was across the city. And it was just like the mental state and the trauma. He had been through some trauma as a child, and it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. And you know, I feel bad for him as a person, because I think that his life would have been really hard. Mm-hmm. Living the way he lived would have been really hard. And I know that there's no excuses for, you know, some of the shit that he did, but I do know that he struggled. Mm-hmm. He had a rough world. And, you know, even at the end, like, I knew he was sick, and he just suffered. Alcoholism is no way to...
Actually, I saw a doctor speaking the other day, and I listened to it, and he said that more people coming up in these generations because are going to die of liver failure. Mm-hmm. He's like, and they're not easy organs to get. No, because alcoholism has just like grown exponentially.
Absolutely.
And in the culture that, you know, we all grew up in, you don't talk about your feelings, you don't share anything, but damn sure it's okay for you to get home and then drink about it all night.
Oh, for sure.
Right?
And keep drinking about it
all
night, yeah.
Yeah, so it's it's an easy thing to fall into.
It is, and it's an easy thing to stay in.
Yeah.
And, you know, I remember just having to stay away, because I would drive by the house, and and you know, it's that, like, my nose was like, what's going on here? I wanted to see, and, you know, part of me, just mind your business, Maria, stay in your own lane, you don't need to know. And I look in the garbage can outside, and there would be bottles, empty bottles of vodka, and it just broke my heart. I just thought, like, why are you doing this? You are so much better than this. But, like, by then it was too far.
It's hard to see something when you're in it.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then it's hard to, like, I asked him, you know, I did ask him in January. He died in June, and I talked to him on the phone, and I needed some help. One of my daughters was really struggling at the time, and I just needed Fane's help. We just needed to gear up as parents at that time, and I could hear it in his voice that he wasn't well. And I had said I did ask him, are you well, or, you know, what's going on? He goes, no, I'm not well. And you know, because I had known the history, and I, you know, 10 years before, he was also knocking on death's door, and, you know, we had spent all this money on a homeopath or a naturopath.
Like, bodies can only take so much.
And, you know,
really,
10 years prior, the naturopath had said, how are you here? Like, I don't understand how you're here. And, you know, I can help you through this, but, I don't know.
Damage is kind of...
Yeah, and we did get through it. And, you know, he was able to have another 10 years of his life. But at the end of it, it was like, it's January, you're not well, how long do you think you have? And I mean, we had that conversation. We had it. A few months, I don't know, 6, 7, 8 months, I don't know. I'm not well. Wow, you're not well. Is there any coming back from this? And he knew. We got his medical records after he had passed, and he was not well.
No.
And it was really, really hard on my kids. It was really hard on them because they felt cheated, that he wasn't honest with them about where he was at with his health. I'm not sure that anything could have been done, but it just was, it played out the way it needed to play out for him. And Eleni was able to have, some time with him, and, my grand girls were able to have some time with him, and Zoe too, in her own way, was able to have some time with him too, and then he was just gone. But alcoholism is shitty, and it's not that I don't think people should drink, because that's going to happen.
Yeah. No, I mean, it can be fun. It can be social. It can be, but when you're doing it to mask everything,
and that,
right,
or people know that,
that is alcoholism. I don't know, I'm not an expert, but
no, clearly I'm not either.
What do they say? More than 5. Well, you lived it.
A day?
I think you can. No, yeah, definitely 5 a day. I think it's more than 5 drinks a week. Like Alcoholics Anonymous, I think that's the rule. Is more than 5 full drinks a week. That's what they.
But an alcoholic will make you your spouse or whoever's in your life absolutely batshit crazy too. I mean, I was nuts.
Mm-hmm.
If there was a glass, I would smell the glass. I mean, everywhere, anything that he touched, I was smelling. It was just I was crazy.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I love the most about my life now is I am still pretty batshit nutso. I'm a nutto, man. I'm a lunatic.
We're all pretty nutty.
We're all pretty nutty, but I'm not walking around smelling glasses in anymore.
Yeah.
Or leaning in and smelling your breath.
That's a big part of your daily energy.
Yeah, it was lots.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, lots of shit went down, and I mean, just knowing that he was always leaving me, I thought, well, and I do remember when he said, I think it's time I think we're done. And I was like, yeah, I think you're right. Because I was always like, no, don't leave me. And then the last time he said it to me, I was like, can I get that in writing?
Yeah. Can I sign it at the bottom?
Please leave. When are we done? And then he really backtracked to say, no, I didn't mean it. And I was like, no, just say it one more time. Mm-hmm. Because, no, I think you're right. We need to be done. And so once he had said it, I thought, you're right. It's time.
So from all, it's been a few years since he's been gone.
Yeah.
So grieving and all of that, it's been years. So, and with time, grief gets more manageable. Mm-hmm. What kind of woman do you feel like today? What are you doing with that new sense of self? Yeah,
so I've mentioned the word liberated in so many ways. I have a really amazing partner who lives in the state of Washington, and we really, really, really clicked in a soulful way. Friendship for about 1.5 years, amazing friendship, and that was part of the process. I didn't know it at the time, but he didn't want to really start anything with me until our friendship was really, really, really solid, and maybe he knew that things down the road could be a little rocky for us because I had still a lot of trauma to unpack, yeah. Right? And I think he had some stuff going on because he had been married before, but our friendship was really something that had solidified for the next step of our relationship. And I would say that was part of my liberation, was to know that I had a best friend and somebody that I could confide with, tell them anything. What would you like to do as, what sort of secrets do you have? Tell me about your dirtiest and your darkest secret. Not that we're going to act on it, but what would you like to do?
Maybe we will.
Right.
No problem.
But the thing is like, I'd gone through my life being this, I don't want to say I was a little prude, but I'd gone through my life doing all the right things. And then it was just like, I met a friend that I could tell anything to, and it felt really good. Say, you know what I've always thought would be cool? And then, and no, there's no wrong answer. And I appreciated that. And, one of the things that I had said was, I would love to have a portrait done of myself. And, and he says, well, go for it. And then I was like, yeah, I don't think so. That's dumb. And, so I took a couple of pictures and I had them on my phone, and, and one day I actually sent you, I messaged Brandi and I said,
out of the blue, like a plethora.
This is weird. Yeah, this is weird, but
you know what? I wasn't surprised.
No, and I don't think anybody is with me now, because they're just like, oh, that Maria, she'll just about do anything. I was like,
she's going to tell me eventually what these 6 naked photos are for.
Yeah, I just sent them to her too. That was the funny thing. I did.
Just...
Here you go. I just wanted to dump them to you in case I
But
lost
in
them.
my line of work, like, it's art related. Normal. I'm like, what's coming up after this? And I loved, and the piece I created for you was so raw and just like, I left it at the sketch stage.
It was beautiful.
Just, there was something about the there was something.
That was really my entrance into, because you see all those boudoir sessions.
This wasn't
I was like,
that.
what am I going to do with a little photo album of, here.
I mean, those are okay.
Here, Bill, I gave you this photo album. Maybe
this was for you.
This was for me.
Yeah.
And
this was a phone pic. This was nothing.
And it was gorgeous.
It was gorgeous.
I know. And so,
stunning.
And then you said, would you be all right if I
shared it?
If I shared it, and I was like, sure. Why not?
Yeah.
And then what was even more amazing was that the feedback, because I thought nobody will know it's me. They won't know it was me. Everybody knew it was me.
Well, your face was shadowed just a bit because you were like,
But everybody knew it was me.
Yeah. It was the energy.
And I was so cool with that. I thought, oh yeah,
I loved
is really great.
I loved seeing that pour out of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that was just like the coolest thing that I wouldn't say it was the coolest thing I'd ever done. I've done other great things, but that was like one of the most amazing community. Here's my picture on Brandi Hofer's page. People talking to me about it, pulling me aside. Hey, I saw your, wow, good for you. Holy smokes. What made you do that? I don't know. I just thought it'd be great.
There's something really freeing about posing nude. And you can't explain it really. Because I would draw female forms all the time, and we would draw them in art school, but I'd never done it myself.
And have you done it?
Yeah. I was like in my like self-love mind collection, the one I wrote the really powerful poem with. And I had just had my second child. And when you're a mother, like, so much of yourself is given away.
Yes, I agree.
Right? Especially at that season of, like, babies. Like, literally, they're sucking everything out of you. And so I had come into myself, and I started this body of work. And Megan Eppen was a photographer for a lot of it. I was really inspired. And finally, I was just like, I feel like I have to, like, sit in this seat. I don't want to, like, at all. But I somehow hit my timer. She was so great. And we just did it in my art studio, and it was so empowering. And I'll have those forever. I'll have them forever. And I look at them from time to time and I'm like, holy smokes, wow.
It
Don't
is-
even need to do anything with them.
No.
Like,
They're there.
I'm just like, wow.
It's a very raw
I'll never
form
be
of
in that
you,
moment
too.
again.
Exactly. It's a very raw
And-
form of you, and it's amazing. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think,
I love
and
it.
Moira Rose talks about it. Remember, do you watch Schitt's Creek?
I sure did.
And she couldn't find the old photo so she could share it on the internet.
I know.
Yeah. And then she tells Stevie to take as many, because she's like 30, take as many nude photos as you can of yourself right
He's like,
now.
okay.
Right now. And I think it's true.
It is
I feel
true.
like
I
at
love-
every stage of our lives, we should just do some nude photo shoots.
I love mine because it's on paper, and it's just in, like you say, it's in sketch form, and it's just probably the most. I look at it all the time, and I think,
Where do you have it?
my bathroom.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah,
I was so happy to be part of that.
I have two of your.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You went ahead and it felt so good you did it twice.
I did it twice. I didn't do the second one though. I had sent a lovely photo of myself, but actually I'm partially clothed in that one. And Bill sent it to you. He wanted it done.
I've seen your boobs lots before this
My boobs
moment.
are really great
yeah.
in that one, but
Your
anyway,
boobs
it's
are,
quite
but
lovely.
I'd seen them lots, so it wasn't
I
like
love the
a...
minxiness of myself in that second one because I'm like,
Yeah.
Hey, you.
It was great.
yeah, that one is in my walk-in closet because I mean, sometimes people come to your house and then
Yeah, you don't need you don't need an inviting one, like, come on.
yeah, I'll
This
just
is
use
me.
your bathroom.
No,
Yeah, go
there
ahead.
are parts of yourself you can share, and there are parts of yourself that you can do just for you.
Well, that first one
Right.
is very much like it's very shadowed and stuff like that. Somebody would have to really, really look at me and go, is that you?
Yeah. No.
And-
The second one's your portrait.
Oh, the second one is like my
Very
visage.
good. Yeah. It's great.
And my,
Yeah. I loved it.
yeah.
Okay, so final question, sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications, is describe an ideal perfect day for you.
An ideal perfect day for
Hold
me.
on, sorry, one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna get it on this one too.
Ah, good. I
Yeah.
see what you're doing here.
Oh, I love our. Oh my gosh, like the lighting's so great, and
This is kind of where you have to do it all the time.
I think so. I don't need to pay rent $2,000 a month for
Oh
anything.
my God.
I have a beautiful. Sometimes I forget. You know, and people do. Everyone does. What you have
This
already.
is beautiful.
What you have already
Yeah.
is great.
No, this is lovely. This is really pretty.
It's great. We're so lucky. Okay, so my final question for you is describe. Oh no, starting over.
With Red Bicycle.
Yeah, very important. Sometimes I
like-
forget to even do the question. So, which is great. I'm good. I actually have really nice pre-recorded ones too that I throw in at the end just to like make sure.
I got it.
Like everyone's needs are fulfilled. Okay. So here's my final question, sponsored by Red Bicycle Communications. I want you to describe your ideal perfect day. And it doesn't have to be super like real. Some people fly to Paris for a croissant in the morning and then somehow they get back home
Oh,
same day.
wow.
So no limit. So if you have a favorite thing that you want to get along the way, go for it.
Okay, well, this is very, very strange, but do you remember that Folgers commercial where the person is sitting at the beach or in those Adirondack chairs and they're sipping a cup of Folgers with a shawl on? I want to wake up in a cabin and walk off the dock
Yes.
and sit, and there's mist coming out of the water a little bit, and I'm having my campfire coffee. I just want to sit there and watch the stillness. But somehow I want to have a production, like I want there to be a productive day, but I want to start my day just like that. And then, you know what, I just want to spend the day being semi-productive, but I also want it to be a me space where I'm just enjoying nature enjoying every aspect of nature. And going to bed at night by a fire, waking up the next morning and redoing that again. I just want to have a day of me in that scene. And I think it's because I don't live that life. That's what I want.
Mm-hmm. That's beautiful.
I replay that Folgers thing in my head all the time. I'm like, why can't that be me? That's what I want. I want to have a cabin, and I want to have like rubber boots out there, and I want to have like a little raincoat and
I think
stillness.
there are seasons of life where, as women, not all of us go through this, but some of us, there's just at points where you have to do some things, and people need you and depend on you, and then, you know, one day they might less. And
I want stillness.
yeah,
Like, I can't focus enough on the fact that I just want to watch the water be still. I just want stillness. You know, I don't want to hear my name. That's one thing I don't want to hear is Maria. I just want to be still. I want to watch fire crackling, listening to it. That's what I want. Stillness.
it's real, it's possible.
It is.
They say if you just like keep that determined, like I'm reading right now. I always read 3 books at once.
Can't get through one.
I know. Sorry. Not to make you feel bad. I listen to one and read 2.
Oh my gosh.
Because like one's for fun, one's for education.
Yeah.
So the one I'm reading it's like a very visual book. Like if you can think it,
It's happening.
it can be real. Just with all determination and see yourself actually living in that life and how it would work.
And it can be real.
It can be real. Absolutely, it can be real. You know? All you have to do is like think back 5-10 years and be like, look where I was then. Look where I am now.
That's true. That's
Things
very
can
true.
be very real.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're 100%
It just
right.
doesn't happen tomorrow. Maybe sometime.
And I don't quite like Folgers just yet, so I might have to put something else in that cup.
Yeah.
Instead of Folgers.
Like really visualize
premise of
something
the
else.
commercial.
Yeah, they hit the nail on the head. Well, thanks for coming down to my makeshift kitchen studio.
If you're looking for some time for yourself to relax, release, and unwind, Oasis has the perfect space for you. They offer yoga and spin classes of all levels. Whether you are a beginner or advanced student, Oasis thrives on accommodating all aspects of the practice. Let their serene environment and gracious staff help you in your journey of peace, healing, and strength. Sign up online at www.oasishotyogastudio.com or by downloading the Oasis Hot Yoga Studio app. Feel like yourself. You deserve it.